Bolts and Bits fans. Today we are taking a good look at the TF Dream Factory God O2S Tank Warrior. Now this is something a little bit different for me. I don't usually do Bayverse stuff. I actually hate most things that come out of the Michael Bay films. That's just my opinion. If you love it, you love it, and I'm happy for you. And I'll just apologise now in advance for any sliminess or black stuff you might see all over my hands. Periodically while filming, me and the kids have been getting into this oil barrel that's full of this black oily slime. This stuff, it's very cool. The kids love it. But I was asked to take a look at this anyway, and a lot of the promo shots that I'd seen on Weibo and Taobao looked absolutely incredible. They were really impressive to me, so let's take a look. The box and packaging is done really well. They've put a lot of effort into this. We've got some very cool line art on the front there. We have a diagram of an Abraham tank with some news articles about murders and mysteries. I don't really know what relevance they have. This one here says, what does that say? Monroeville, ALA, December 28. News has been received that a Hunter's Mill Monroe conjure down matter in a fit of jugular rage, a host, and afterwards this is just it is gibberish. And on the back we have some diagrams, just photos turned black and white in high contrast, and that's pretty much it. Let's open it. Now, as I said before, they have put a lot of effort into this. Opening it up, we have the instruction book, which is printed really well, has a lot of artwork and details, but the instructions themselves are so small and pixelated that they really do not describe anything in great detail. So I will be going over the transformation. One thing that I couldn't find in here, which was annoying, was what batteries he takes and where the batteries even go. I had to unscrew a lot of things to figure it out. Spoiler alert, you have to unscrew the entire tank turret and put 2 double A's in, as pictured here somewhere. I'll put it in. Alright, so getting stuck into the box, you see that it is all packed in with a ton of flexible foam. They really wanted to protect this paint job, I think. So we have the tank turret, take that off gently. Have the rest of the tank, let's just rip into this and take Brawl out. And off goes the box. Alright, so here he is. Let's just get in a bit closer, move him over. Let's just reposition everything as it's meant to, and we will get a good look at this tank turret. Now, as you can see, the airbrushing on the tip, the burn marks is done pretty well. The whole end is burnt and just a little bit of the edge. Says another bad creation on the side. That is printed really well, and the overall tan color isn't a flat spray. There's a lot of undercoat showing up through the bottom of it, which adds depth and adds a little bit of artificial shading. And to attach it, we just grab Brawl himself, line it up, and jam it on. Never mind that. So you've already heard one of the sounds, so let's just get that out of the way first. With the cannon, if you push it in on this click here, it does make a cannon noise with an LED in the end. With the upper turret, when you turn it this way, you get a missile launch sound, and this way a machine gun. He is an M1 Abrams tank with an extra turret on the top, minesweepers on the front, and what looks like either fuel tanks or deployable tank traps in the back. That's just being creative. They're obviously robot feet. The minesweepers in the front are spring-loaded, so they do go up and down. This bit goes up and down. Underneath, we have a plastic wheel there, a plastic wheel there, one there, and the same on the opposite sides to help it roll. It's actually getting a bit of traction on my plastic surface. Now when it comes to the paint job, this thing just looks absolutely superb. You can see that it's got a dark undercoat and they've sprayed the tan over the top. but in a gradient effect. So we have these dark details in between the panel joints. And the use of the deflective armor down the side adds a lot of natural shadow. So they haven't had to add extra colors in all around here. And then you can see the effects on the cannon for the scorch marks of firing. That looks fantastic. I do have a little bit of wear here. One thing I will say about the airbrushing is I've transformed this maybe 7 times now, just trying to get familiar with it. And from gripping it with my hands that many times, I've managed to wipe some of the paint off like you see on that cannon. I think I have a little bit around here somewhere, like up here, just little tiny chips caused by me grabbing it. There's one there. None of these are out of the box. It's purely from me transforming it. Then on the back we can see those feet. They aren't painted. This is cast plastic. That gunmetal looks really good. And then we have the details in the back of the tank. Just some printed details, as you can see there. It's all done really neat. Even the warning signs, you look like you could almost read them. They are really, really tiny, and they look detailed enough. The markings on the side are printed really well. Same with the arrow, whatever the significance of that is. And the what looks like serial numbers on the minesweepers here. And the minesweepers have a different color. They have like a dirt brown airbrush into that instead of the sort of grayish color up here. The silver is done exceptionally well, although I would have expected it to be the other way, unless these were meant to be powder coated black and they've scraped off into silver. I really would have thought that it would be dirty at the bottom and more silver at the top, but that's just me. The unpainted black plastic is done in a matte finish, which really suits. Going onto the tank treads, you can see the details in there have been sprayed as well. There's just a very slight silver, almost a dry wash, I'm going to say, to the tank treads. Overall, this paint job really, really works. I absolutely love it. That is one beautiful tank mode. I've taken some photos of this for my gallery, and like a beautiful model, you just cannot take a bad photo of this. From every angle, it just looks intimidating. But like all things, it isn't perfect. Now, it's got some of those automorph features where it's got a few tabs here that hold spring-loaded pieces in. One of those pieces, let me just move this tank turret out of the way, I guess. One of those pieces is this section is meant to slide forward, and this sort of cockpit area is meant to tab in. Now, it did it first, but by about the 5th or 6th transformation, I can no longer get it to hold in correctly. I can get it to slide up there, but having the cockpit itself hold it in place, so it just, maybe I've worn off the tab. It is only a very small tab. I don't know if you can see that. Let me just get in close. See that little hole? It is very tiny, so I might have worn this off. So whether you like Bayverse or not, I think the tank mode is a winner. Looks cool. It has lights. It makes sounds. Oh, hang on. Click. There we go. I'll probably leave it like this. I don't really like the Bayverse bots, but this, as a package, this whole tank thing looks awesome. That said though, let's get into the transformation. To begin, we're going to squeeze these black clips here to automorph the front armor and the other side. Whenever I see that, I always just imagine the Gundam sound when they join armor together like this. And then we extend the legs. Now, turning it upside down, we want to bring these arms out. Now, take note of how they are folded in, because they will only go in this one way when you transform it back into tank mode. I had to look at a couple of reference photos the first couple of times just to remember exactly how to lay these arms and the weapons into the back of the tank area. And then we're just going to pull the weapons and arms out like so and rotate the forearms around. Pull it out, rotate around. Grab this tank tread, fold it in on itself, both sides. Grab the second armor plate here, detach, and it is on this hinge arm here, which will fold around. Then we're going to split the legs Now the tab is in the middle here. Right, then we're going to fold these upper tank treads here up, get the arms ratchets here and here up, detach the tank turret like that, and then fold this front section around until you get to this wheel. With that done, we're going to rotate the tank turret all the way around, push it in, then grab the secondary turret, fold it around so it's pointing upwards. Grab this section in the turret, fold it up, it will spring load this section up, like so. Extend the tank turret out, grab this little flap here, drop it down, fold that up and out of the way like that. Then we're going to concentrate on the legs. So we're at this stage, fold this in, and you've got a tab here, which is going to tab in right in there. So let's fold that in, push it in. The tank armor just sits extended like this out the back of the legs. Now we have this tabbed in, rotate it around like that, and then fold the toes out like that. Put the pointy bits of the front toes up. And that is how the leg should look. When I first transformed this, I thought I'd done something wrong with this back armor on the back of the leg. It's not a great design. That really is not how you would want it, but that's how it's meant to be. So just quickly, same on the other side, rotate it around, bring this forward, tab it in there, and then just collapse that armor on the back. That is kibble-tastic. There's so much going on back there. It's just, I wish they did it a different way, but that's the way we've got. So this auto-morphing part here, we're going to grab this middle minesweeper bit, and let me just hang on. Going to push it up like that, and then it's going to force this whole, hang on, I missed a step. Make sure this cockpit section is folded up first before you attempt the automorph. Right now, when I push it all forward, the head just pops out as it should. So my mistake. Alright, so it's taking shape now, but still a bit of a mess. So we got the turret all in position, fold these up, and let's just position these arms like that. We got the elbow joint there, bring the weapons back. We've got a very tight tab right there, so it does take a bit of force. Now the instructions say to leave these minesweepers like this, but personally I like to fold them in and put them together like that. It gives them a bit more of a body shape. And then we bring this out, and this tank turret comes around like that, and he's meant to hold his own cannon. It's blasting his own cannon just like that. I think I'm done. Let me just tidy him up and we'll take a look. So there he is, all cleaned up and posed, and I think that looks fantastic. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not a fan of the whole Bayverse thing. In the movies and all of the toys, they just looked like spiky, springy messes. You didn't really know. You knew it was a robot, but you didn't really, your eyes couldn't really tell what it was meant to be. But this, with the lighter color, you can clearly see chest, head, shoulders, hands, legs. You know, it makes sense almost. It starts to have more of a form, more of a humanoid form that you can decipher quickly when you look at it. Now, the instructions do say to put the tank treads up like this, either side of the head, but I think that's a little bit dumb because he can't actually see out of it. Having him look this direction means nothing. It would only really look that direction. Putting it like this gives a bit more visibility, I guess. Adds sort of shoulder armor if you'd like, because those shoulder joints are a little bit tiny. Now let me just reposition it. There we go. So I think that looks better in my opinion. Now, articulation wise, in bot mode, the head is on a ball socket, so we get quite a bit of motion enough up and down and a bit to the sides like that. I'll just move this out of the way. In the shoulder, you do get the ratcheted up and down, the ratcheted 360. You get, no, you can't. You get a slight butterfly backwards if you want, part of the transformation. You get a very strongly ratcheted elbow. You also get a bicep swivel just above the ratchet. You get 2 individual fingers and a thumb, and there is a slight wrist movement here. That little piston doesn't really do anything else. That's it. There's no waist swivel, unfortunately. I think this would have really benefited from that. Poseability is a bit awkward because of the backs of the legs, but you know, it is what it is. When it, oh shit, that's, hang on, I'm just gonna take that off for now while I mess with it. So when we come down to the legs, oh, let me just ratchet that knee. It's very loud. So we get back to there, which is quite a range considering the tank turret and the kibble. And we get ratcheted all the way up. That's quite a kick. This thing, he's quite heavy, so it's awkward to hold with a camera so close in front of you. So that's quite the range. When we got him up, we'll just do the knee, and that is a super strong knee ratchet. Sometimes it feels like it might snap even. Haven't had one break yet, but you can see, there we go, let me just bring that down. Super strong, almost too strong. Alright, so we have a swivel just above that knee ratchet, and then when it comes down to the feet, all of the toes articulate, and they do help with stability for awkward poses because the feet are so big and long. When you have the ankle swiveled like this, have it around like that, you can bring this toe down and leave one up, and you create a bit more stability along there. Same with these little side toes here, you bring them in and get a little bit more stability. And then for the running poses or anything, you can just bring the back toes down like that. So you have a lot of options that help with this. And an example of that is like a dynamic brace pose. Now his legs are quite spread, his feet are quite spread, there's a lot of weight going either side. And even though all toes aren't touching the ground, you can see that there's still plenty making contact, so he's not falling over or even wobbling at all. That is very, very sturdy. And the other foot, see how much of that's touching the ground? Super sturdy for a pose like this. So despite his bulk, he still can pull off quite a bit. Now he does have forearm weapon gimmicks, which are a bit hit and miss. Now they are spring loaded, so it might not work perfect every time. It all sort of has to line up when you transform it. You know how it works. So we're going to grab this panel and just push it back, and that locks these new blades in place, and then pull that submachine gun out, well, minigun, what am I talking about? Minigun out of his forearm. On the other side, we have this little tab just in here, which is going to extend cannons out like that and pop this little sight up. Now for lights and sound in bot mode, the cannon on the side here does still work. The trigger is just in here, so give it a push. Works just fine. These shoulder missile launchers, however, they do not activate because you can't go any further. The activation is this way and that way, not around here, so they won't light up or make sound. Also, if you're not a fan of having the cannon around here, you can fold it back, but it will stick right into the, let me just rotate that out of the way. It will stick right into the ground. It's not workable. Look how long it is. Even moving it out, it's still about the same length as the legs. So if you don't want the cannon around, you're just really gonna have to detach it and just have him like that. So taking a close look at the painted details on this guy, there is a lot going on, and they've done it really, really well, especially in the face. Now you can see there's a dark base coat that they've airbrushed the tan on top of, which has created a lot of artificial shadows and detail. It's also given us black rivet marks all through the head. We have this copper color up here and a dark bronze for the rest of the face. There we go. And the red in the eyes just really pops. The color that they've put into this face just looks fantastic. You can see that it is a face. It's not a Bayverse mess of pieces. We have a printed 68 logo just here on his shoulder. I don't know why. Maybe somebody owes him one. Further down, you can see how the airbrushing on all of this detail here, once all folded in together, creates a lot of shadows and a lot of detail that wouldn't necessarily be there. This is just flat plastic here, but it's got a really good gradient and adds more to it. And then further down into the legs, you can see we've got the same copper from the head, but done a lot thicker and a lot more of it. Similar airbrushing technique over the dark base coat, giving us a lot of natural gradients and shadows. The plastic is maybe, I'm not sure if that's cast or dry brushed in a gunmetal grey, but it does look good. It's not a straight black plastic, which I think would look really cheap and nasty. It is keeping in theme with the rest of it. And then further down, more of that base coat through the airbrush, more copper down here. And I did forget to mention these leg spikes. Hang on, I can't get them out. I don't know that anyone cares about these leg spikes. There's a hinge here and a hinge here, so they do move about. I don't know why. It's not meant for stability or anything, is it? No, just some sort of shin spike for a character who can't really kick too well. They might as well have deleted that, really, but who knows? Maybe someone wants it. More copper detail here, and then we have the gunmetal feet, which I've already mentioned. So onto the arms, you can see that the plastic hands look incredible. It looks really shiny with a light pointed straight at it, but it is more of a gunmetal, but it does absorb the light well. That looks really cool. Same with these blades and details up here. A bit more copper in the elbow. Just focus on the minigun there for a sec. That's just cast plastic. And then the last details to really check are just these little printed bits on the shoulder. Got the regular tan with copper around the edge there, and then it's like a little smiley face or an evil face, and that looks like a tiger or a puma or something like that. I don't know. They're done well though. You can see there's no spots, there's no scratching, nothing. All the paint, and especially like the decal like stuff that they've applied, it's super neat. And then on the other shoulder, got the number 50, and what animal is that? It's another tiger or puma or whatever it is. But again, no scratches, no hiccups, no nothing. And then we have the cannon accessory on his arm, and that's done really well. That looks cool, doesn't it? So final thoughts wise, is this right for your collection? Well, I'm not a Bayverse fan at all. I see all the new movie trailers and I just grimace. I hate all of them. But if you love them, you love them. Personally, I don't. But when it comes to this guy, I think he looks fantastic. He might not have been this color in the movie, but he should have been. The details aren't fantastic. The paint job is fantastic. Brings out details that you might not ever really notice on a darker figure. The care taken with the packaging and the uniqueness of the packaging, it's all just, they've put a lot of effort into this. That said, being a KO, problems with the original are carried over here. That leg kibble is just ghastly, and it really impacts poseability. The same comes with the tank turret. It really gets in the way. It is really heavy, and the way that the arm mechanism moves, how it's only one single hinge and the connector to the body rotates, that makes posing and getting it out of the way a real pain in the ass. When a high quality KO is put out, you always hope that they sort of fix some of the niggles and problems you had with the original. In this case, they haven't really done too much, but the paint job is worth it alone. And tank mode, holy shit, tank mode, that's the tits. It just looks fantastic. It's so intimidating, it's so beefy, it's so heavy. That thing just works. So this sample was provided to me by Show.Z Store on Facebook and Aliexpress. They have this guy up. Off the top of my head, I can't remember for how much, and I'm pretty sure they have the green as well, but don't quote me on that. They also have some decent sales from time to time and a bunch of other gear that's not Transformers related. So head over there and show them a little bit of love. As always, if you have any comments, questions, love or corrections, please leave them below. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this one and the green one previously. Remember to check out our Facebook for daily news and updates on KO and third-party gear. And as I always say, thank you very much for your time and thanks for watching. Is your tank not running as good as it used to? Is it starting to make some clicks and clack noises? Well, you need oil can. Go on, get out oil. Get out. Fix my tank. Better.